There are 5 million things on the baby aisle, and it is really confusing to know what's actually important for your baby and what you can totally bypass, because I'm going to tell you that 98% of that aisle you could bypass. Today, I'm going to give you a list of just the necessities that you need for your baby. This is a no frills list because the pregnancy nurse, when she had her first baby, was a no frills person. We did not have a lot of money to support this baby. Lots of things secondhand, lots of things at garage sales or use kids stores. That's a great avenue to do as well if you're looking to save some cash before you have this baby. And this is actually from a post that I wrote. I actually have a list that you can download with all the baby necessities on it, and I'm going to link to some of my favorite products with that list. You can find that all down below. And in case we haven't met yet, hello, I'm Hillary. I'm the pregnancy nurse. I've been a nurse since 1997. I have 20 years of labor and delivery experience, plus 3 babies of my own and countless friends who have had babies. So I've really seen what you need to have a new baby, because some people, I'm really impressed by how minimalist a lot of moms are. And then I've seen friends who had babies who I would call maximalists. They have all the different things that they need for their baby. So I've seen a wide variety, both between patients, friends, and myself. And I will say that each subsequent baby, we had a little bit more money. And so I got a few different things, and some were a complete waste of money and some were really helpful. And we'll talk about those too. Okay, the first thing that you absolutely need for your baby is a car seat if you're planning to drive. I honestly, tell me down in the comments if you are not, if you're like taking the subway home or something like that, or you're walking home from the hospital, what do you do? I've always wondered. But if you are planning to drive, use a taxi, any of those things, the hospital will require you to be discharged with a baby in a car seat. So it's really important that you have one. Now, I am not a car seat expert. I actually have a friend, Danny Morin. You can find her on social media. She is a car seat expert, and I would totally recommend checking her out if you're interested in a car seat. Now, you don't need one of those infant carrier ones because those really only last 5 to 6 months. You can get a car seat that just hooks in your car rear facing for a newborn, and some of those can last a really long time. So if you're looking to conserve your finances with a baby, that can be a great option. The ones that hook in the car, I've seen ones that can take that baby all the way till they're like a toddler. Like they can actually be reversed as well. So it's really cool, all the advances that we're making with car seat. Some of you might be wondering, can I use a used car seat? Most people recommend against that. However, if you have a friend and you know that the car seat has not been in an accident, honestly, I don't think that's bad. I was able to reuse a car seat between kids, so I don't see the big difference if you have a friend. And again, you know it hasn't been in an accident. I think that should be fine, but you didn't hear it from me. Talk with your pediatrician or a CPST, that's a car seat tech, if you have any questions. Okay, the second thing that you definitely need for your baby is diapers and wipes. Now you can do cloth diapering and cloth wipes. I am definitely not a cloth diapering expert. I would look to somebody if that's what you're planning to do. But if you are planning on disposable diapers, I recommend having 2 packs of newborn diapers on hand. If your baby grows out of them too quickly, they're a great gift to another new mom. And then I would recommend having some size 1s and maybe even some size 2s on hand, just because I swear that baby grows overnight and suddenly you need the next size up, and it's just so nice to have it on hand. Okay, you're going to want to give your baby a safe place to sleep. For most babies, that is going to be a crib, a playpen, or a bassinet. Bassinets actually only last until baby is starting to push up a little bit. And so usually that's like 6 months. So you got to know that those don't last too long, but boy, oh boy, are they handy to have right by your bed. I think they're a great thing to borrow amongst friends. Ask around if any of your friends have a bassinet that they're willing to let you borrow. We borrowed one from a friend and it was so handy. Just make sure that it's safe and within regulations. But I think it's really important that baby also have a crib, so that once you're ready to transition baby into a crib, you already have that set up in their room. A lot of people use that crib for naps and things like that, so I think it's great to get a crib. My parents, when we didn't have a lot of money, the thing that they did give us was a crib. And I think that's awesome because it gave us a really safe sleep environment that we ended up using with all of our kids. And they just wanted to know that it was like a new crib that would last. And so I was really grateful for that. Can you buy used cribs? Just make sure that it's, made within the last few years and that you have all of the pieces to set it up. I've had a lot of friends who bought a crib on like Facebook Marketplace only to find that they didn't have all the screws, and that leaves you in a really unsafe space. And you want to make sure that your crib is a safe sleep environment. Now, I'm a huge advocate for safe sleep environments. If you're interested on a post about safe sleep environments, tell me down in the comments. I would love to make one. Okay, the next thing your baby is going to need is sleepers. These are like little pajamas, and newborns can just live in those unless you want to dress them up. Or, which is another ones I'm going to mention, is onesies if it's a warmer time of year. We live in Phoenix, so a lot of people just buy onesies during the summer as babies gets pretty warm here. I know it's tempting to buy lots of clothes in the newborn thing, and boy, oh boy, is it fun to dress up your baby. I had 2 boys and then a girl, and that girl had so many dresses as a newborn, but they don't end up being that helpful. So if you're looking to conserve your funds, you can just buy sleepers and then maybe one going out outfit if you find it fun or somebody gifts it to you. But don't feel like you have to buy all of the different clothes out there. Now, the difference between sleepers and onesies is sleepers have long sleeves. Sometimes they even cover their hands, which I absolutely love because I hate clipping nails. More on that in a little bit. Usually they have little footies as well, versus a onesie's just sort of a t-shirt that snaps down around their diaper. Fun fact, I think a lot of you out there are thinking, I've never really dealt with a newborn before. And I think that's so normal, which is why in the online prenatal class for couples, there is a whole newborn care section to teach you how to swaddle, how to do a diaper, how to take their temperature, how to suck boogers out of their mouth. And so a lot of people find it really helpful, especially with their first baby. I'm going to put the link for that class down below. Okay, this one's going to be controversial, but I believe every family that's having a baby should have a bottle and some formula on hand. Now, I am a fan, don't tell anybody, this is just going to be our little secret, of signing up for the formula people because they usually will send you formula. And a lot of times the bottle companies, come on with that too and send you kind of a tiny like infant, a newborn type bottle along with a formula. And then you are set without coming out of pocket at all. Now, a lot of people say you shouldn't have any formula in the house because it makes it too easy to not breastfeed. And I'm here to say that you are an adult that can make your own adult choices. And I don't want it to be where all the stores in your area are closed and you don't have formula and you're unable to feed your baby. That is not a situation that I'm here to support. Just have a little formula, especially because you can sign up for free online. Now, if you are planning to bottle feed, you're going to want more bottles and formula, not just one. But have them on hand. Don't tell the lactation consultants I said that because they're going to breathe some fire at me, but I think it's important. Fun fact, Hillary, the pregnancy nurse, totally thought breastfeeding was going to work, did have some bottles on hand, needed to use them because my baby was starving. So I'm really glad that we had them. And if you're thinking, where the heck do I sign up for those formula pages? I have the link in that post that I mentioned at the beginning. It's down below. Okay, the next thing you're going to want are blankets and swaddles. So babies have this weird thing called the Moro reflex, which when they move, sometimes they just startle themselves. And you'll see them do this kind of a lot. Not exactly sure why we were born with that. It slowly goes away. But a lot of times having a swaddle, which puts them similar to how they were in the womb, kind of wrapped up, can be really helpful after birth. Now, you don't want to swaddle them forever. Talk with your pediatrician about how long you'll want to swaddle them, but the nurses will be swaddling in the hospital, and I think it's a really important skill to learn. Having a few blankets or swaddles can be really helpful. And a lot of people don't ever really understand how to swaddle, which is why the market has created these like easy swaddlers, which I would recommend if you're worried about the mechanics of swaddling. I gotta say, as a new nurse, it took me a while to learn how to swaddle, and the hospital nurses make it look like it is so easy. And I'm here to say it is less easy when it's your own baby and they're kind of like, flailing about a little bit. So sometimes those pre-done swaddles can be really helpful. Okay, that ultimately ends the needs, things that you have to have on hand that you couldn't have a replacement for otherwise. These are a few other things that I would put like, you pretty much need them, but not everybody's going to need them right away. These could be things that you could put off a little bit if things are really tight. The first one is a stroller. And a lot of times you can find these at the used shops really easily. If you want your infant car seat to hook into it, make sure that it can do that. But a stroller is so nice. Such a huge fan of a stroller. And I did splurge on a higher end, I'm not an Uppa Baby mom. For me at the time, it was a McLaren, but it was so nice, especially on subsequent babies, because we ended up using the stroller a whole lot more when we were going to the park with my older son. Okay, something especially when I had other kids that was super helpful was a front pack or a carrier. And I liked the Baby Bjorn because I can't do all the straps, but I know a lot of people love all the straps, and that can really get baby nice and tight to you. And then after the Bjorn, maybe 2 or 3 months, I switched to an Ergo, and I used the heck out of that Ergo till my kid was like 3 or 4. So handy when I had the other 2 kids, especially on my third. But I think having a front pack, and the Ergo actually converts to a backpack as well, can be really handy. I'm a huge fan of them. It's not a need, but I really liked mine. I did get a cheaper, like even flow carrier with my first baby. Was not a fan. Like, it hurt my back so much. I don't know how Baby Bjorn makes theirs so much better than the even flow one, but I think it can be worth it to splurge a little bit for these higher end carriers versus the cheaper ones. And I, of course, found mine at a used kids shop. If you're early on in pregnancy, think of a few of those things, maybe a stroller, maybe a front pack that you would like a little bit higher end, and keep your eyes on those kids shops or Facebook Marketplace so that you can grab those when they come up for sale. Because we don't need to be filling our landfill with all of these baby things. I think the resale thing is awesome. And actually, I would just offer my baby supplies to parents who are expecting a new baby because I just felt like it was good karma. So put the word out that you're accepting hand-me-downs, because sometimes people have a lot of things that they're happy to give you, and then you can sort through what you want, what you don't want, and then send the rest to Goodwill. Now, here's another one that I really liked, and that is a swing. Now, swings have changed a little bit. Like, I literally had a wind-up swing, you guys. You probably all think I'm a dinosaur, but it was really nice because we didn't have to have batteries all the time or plug it in. But it is really nice to have a place to put baby that is not the floor. Another option is a bouncer, and I think both of those can be really nice. Fun fact, baby should not be going to sleep in either of these environments. But as you need to throw in a load of laundry, it can be nice to put baby in there. Or if you want to save some cash, baby can totally go on the floor. That's a great place for baby to move their limbs and get more active. I think a lot of us feel like baby needs to be up off of the floor because we don't love to be on the floor that much. But in reality, a blanket on the floor is a great place for baby to hang out as well. Of course, once they start moving, it starts to get a little more complicated. But we're just talking about newborns right now. Another thing I love to have on hand was burp cloths, but you could totally use a dish towel or something like that. But most babies spit up a little bit. So during feeding and after feeding, it's important to have a towel or something on your shoulder to take care of baby. Personally, I just liked having the birth cloths rather than dish towels, but you could totally use whatever is absorbent and on hand. I've definitely used a towel at other times as well. One of my favorite were the old cloth diapers to use for birth cloths because they're so absorbent and they're pretty darn cheap for a big pack of them. Another thing that I think is so handy is some pacifiers. Pacifiers actually reduce your chance of having SIDS. I know a lot of people are anti-pacifier. You can ask for one in the hospital, although not every hospital has them. But I think having a set on hand just to see if your baby will take them can be really handy. Some babies love them, some babies don't. So I wouldn't buy a whole ton of them. Sometimes you need to try a few brands to see if one works or one doesn't. And sometimes with that free formula kit, they'll send some pacifiers as well. I also recommend having a little baby wash on hand. Now, you don't need to give your baby a bath all the time. They're not out there getting in the dirt, but you do want to clean in the folds, and every once in a while they're going to have a blowout, and a little baby wash can be really helpful. You're not going to want to use the same body wash that you use because baby's skin is so sensitive. A brand that I've seen really kicking it up that I like to use on my skin is CeraVe, and you guys can check out those links. Again, I have the whole checklist. You can find it down below. But fun fact, I used Johnson & Johnson because it was like, that was pretty much it when I had my first baby, and somehow they all survived. Okay, my last and most hated thing for this list is nail file, nail clippers, however you're going to handle the nail. I know that there are like little Dremels that you can Dremel off your baby's nails. I don't know how all of that works, but baby's nails become like little claws that they will claw at their face. I love those sleepers that have the little protectors for their hands. I put baby socks on my kids' hands before too. I hate cutting baby's nails. I don't really have one that I recommend, although a lot of people love the Frida nail clipper. Sometimes I feel like Frida is a little bit expensive, and you can find the cheaper brands with a similar product available on your baby aisle as well. Fun fact, the pregnancy nurse has definitely cut her child while cutting their fingernails. It's just really, you're going to be like, Hillary, how hard is this? It's just really hard to tell where the skin ends and the nail begins. So I've done it. The kids lived. I felt so bad though, so bad. And if you're like, Hillary, I love all this advice about babies, again, come join me on the prenatal class for couples where we have that whole newborn care section along with how to manage your pregnancy, labor, postpartum life together. I think you'll really enjoy it. And it is there to prepare both of you, because remember when this baby comes out, right now you're pretty much in charge of it, the baby, if you're still pregnant. But once baby comes out, equal parents, right? Oh, apparently I forgot one. Diaper cream. And I actually really like two different kinds of diaper cream. There's one called Desitin that's like a zinc oxide that really protects the skin. Although sometimes I feel like it doesn't do a great job at healing the skin. So I also like an A&D, which is more like a clear ointment. Another one I love is Bag Balm, if any of like your parents have used that. And that's better at like healing the skin versus the Desitin that's great at protecting the skin. And one of the pro tips that I saw online recently is that when you use Desitin, just clean off the top soiled layer of the Desitin and leave the rest of the Desitin on the skin to protect your baby's bottom. If you have questions about rash, that's definitely something to bring up with your pediatrician because it was a pediatrician that I saw that pro tip online. Okay, let's not forget you in this whole situation. I want to make sure that you have a postpartum plan, and I have a whole video about that. It's going to be up above. What did I miss on this list? Tell me down below. I'm sure I'm missing something. I'm sure you're feeling like you might be missing something as well. So thanks for being here with me on The Pregnancy Nurse, where we get you prepared, not scared for your upcoming hospital birth.